By 6:45, no one had shown up to my 30th birthday dinner. I sat alone at a table for 12, watching the waiter's pitying glances, when I finally understood why everyone abandoned me. I realized my best friend had been planning this humiliation. For months, the invitation was perfect. I'd spent 3 hours on Canva getting every detail right. Cream-colored background with delicate rose gold accents. Elegant script font that said sophisticated but not pretentious. Sophia's 30th birthday celebration. Vista Bistro, Saturday 6 p.m., dinner, laughter, and good company. No gifts needed, just come and celebrate with me. I'd send it to 11 people, not a random number, carefully curated, my inner circle. The people who mattered most in my life as I crossed this milestone birthday that felt simultaneously like an ending and a beginning. There was Mariana, my best friend since college, 8 years of shared secrets, late-night phone calls, and being each other's emergency contacts. She was the first person I'd told about every major life event, my promotion to senior marketing manager at Pinnacle Digital, my breakup with Derek last year, my decision to finally start therapy. Mariana knew me better than I knew myself sometimes. Then there was my brother Lucas and his wife Priya. They lived in Riverside Heights, about 40 minutes away. But they never missed family celebrations. Lucas had been my protector growing up, and even at 32, he still called me little sis and made sure I knew he had my back. My cousin Valentino was flying in from Portland specifically for this dinner. We'd grown up like sisters, spending every summer together at our grandmother's house in Meadowbrook. She'd already texted me photos of her outfit, a stunning emerald dress she'd bought just for my birthday. Then there were my work friends, Jessica from accounting who always remembered everyone's coffee order, Marcus from the creative team who could make anyone laugh during the most stressful deadlines, and Zoe, my work wife who sat in the cubicle next to mine and knew all my professional anxieties and ambitions. My neighbor Mrs. Chen from apartment 4B was coming too. She was 67, originally from Taiwan, and had become like a surrogate grandmother since I'd moved to Willowbrook Garden Apartments 2 years ago. She brought me homemade dumplings when I was sick and always asked about my dating life with the gentle persistence of someone who genuinely cared. Rebecca and Tom, my college friends who'd moved to the city the same year I did, we'd navigated post-graduation life together, celebrating promotions and commiserating over terrible dates. They were the couple everyone wanted to be, still genuinely in love after 5 years together, but never made single people feel excluded. And finally, my work mentor Elena, who'd taken me under her wing when I started at Pinnacle Digital and taught me everything about navigating corporate politics while maintaining your integrity. She was 45, brilliant, and the kind of woman I aspired to become. 11 people who represented different chapters and aspects of my life, all coming together to celebrate me turning 30. The number felt significant, not because I was dreading the age, but because I was actually excited about it. I'd spent my 20s figuring out who I was, making mistakes, learning from them. 30 felt like the beginning of the decade where I'd actually know what I was doing. I'd chosen Bella Vista Bistro carefully. It was upscale but not intimidating, with warm lighting and excellent Italian food. I'd eaten there twice before and loved the ambience, intimate enough for conversation, but spacious enough that we wouldn't feel cramped. The private dining room could accommodate our group perfectly, with a long wooden table that would let everyone see and talk to each other. I'd made the reservation 3 weeks in advance, confirming it twice. Giuseppe, the manager, had been incredibly helpful, even suggesting a special birthday dessert they could prepare. I'd politely declined, sticking to my no gifts, no fuss theme, but I'd appreciated his enthusiasm. The week leading up to the dinner had been perfect. Mariana and I had gone dress shopping together the previous Saturday. She'd helped me pick out a navy blue wrap dress that she said made my eyes look amazing. We'd grabbed coffee afterward and talked about how surreal it felt that we were both 30 now. She'd seemed genuinely excited about the party, already planning to arrive early to help with any last-minute details. Lucas had called on Thursday to confirm the time and ask if I needed him to bring anything. "I know you said no gifts," he'd said, "but Priya made you something. Nothing big, just you'll see." I'd laughed and told him that homemade gifts didn't count as real gifts, which had been our family rule since we were kids. Even my coworkers had been buzzing about it all week. Jessica had asked if she could bring a +1 her new boyfriend Craig, and I'd said of course. Marcus had joked about whether the dress code was fancy casual or casual fancy, and we'd spent 15 minutes during lunch break debating the difference. Everything had been falling into place beautifully. I'd arrived at Bella Vista at 5:30 p.m. -1 minutes early, which was typical for me. I liked having time to settle in, make sure everything looked right, and greet people as they arrived rather than rushing in at the last minute. I was wearing the navy dress with small pearl earrings my grandmother had given me for my college graduation. My hair was in loose waves, and I'd actually splurged on professional makeup that morning. I felt beautiful, confident, ready to celebrate. Giuseppe had shown me to our private dining room, and it was even prettier than I'd remembered. Soft amber lighting from vintage fixtures cast a warm glow over the long wooden table, which was set with crisp white linens and simple but elegant place settings. Fresh flowers, white roses and eucalyptus, served as centerpieces. It looked like something from a magazine, sophisticated but welcoming. The table is set for 12, Giuseppe had confirmed, consulting his notes. Your guests should start arriving around 6. Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much for all of this. He'd smiled warmly. It's our pleasure, Miss Chen. 30 is a special birthday. You should celebrate properly. I'd taken a seat facing the door so I could see everyone as they walked in. I'd ordered a glass of their house Pinot Grigio and settled into wait, feeling that pleasant anticipation that comes before a party you've been looking forward to for weeks. 6 p.m. came and went. No one. At first, I wasn't concerned. I was early, after all, and most people ran a few minutes late, especially on Saturday evenings when traffic could be unpredictable. I sipped my wine and checked my phone, expecting to see the usual flurry of running 5 minutes behind texts that preceded every group gathering. But my phone was quiet. 6:15 p.m. Still no one. Now I was starting to feel the first flutter of anxiety in my stomach. Someone should have arrived by now. Mariana was never more than 10 minutes late to anything, and she'd specifically said she wanted to get there early. I sent her a quick text. Hey, just checking if you're on your way. No rush. Just wanted to make sure you had the right address. The message showed as delivered but not read. 6:20 p.m. I tried calling Lucas. It went straight to voicemail, which was odd because he always answered my calls. I left a brief message. Hey, it's me. Just wondering if you guys are still coming tonight. Call me back when you get this. 6:25 p.m. I was now officially worried. I scrolled through my contacts and tried Jessica from work. Again, straight to voicemail, then Marcus. Same thing. Then Zoe. Every single call went to voicemail. That's when the anxiety transformed into something sharper, more urgent. It was possible that 1 or 2 people might be running late, or that someone had a family emergency. But 11 people all being unreachable at exactly the same time, that wasn't coincidence. That was something else. The waiter, a young man named Antonio who looked like he was probably in college, approached my table with professional concern masking obvious curiosity. Miss Chen, can I get you anything else while you wait for your party? I'm sure they'll be here soon, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Maybe just some bread while I wait. Of course, he returned with a basket of warm focaccia and refilled my water glass. I noticed him glance at all the empty chairs, but he was too polite to comment. 6:30 p.m. I was now 30 minutes into what was supposed to be my birthday celebration, sitting alone in a room designed for 12 people. The beautiful table setting that had looked so elegant when I arrived now felt almost mocking. All those empty places, all those unused napkins and wine glasses catching the light. I tried a different approach and opened our group chat, the one Mariana had created called Sophia's Dirty 30. The last message was from 3 days ago, when I'd sent the final reminder about the restaurant address and asked everyone to let me know if they had any dietary restrictions. I typed, "Hey everyone, I'm at Bella Vista. Just wanted to check if you're all still coming tonight. The hostess is asking about timing for the kitchen. I watched the message deliver. Then I watched the read receipts start appearing. Mariana, read. Lucas, read. Valentina, read. Jessica, read. They were all reading my messages, but no one was responding. My heart started beating faster. This wasn't a mass emergency or a communication breakdown. This was intentional. They were all seeing my increasingly desperate messages and choosing not to respond. 6:35 p.m. Antonio returned, this time with Giuseppe trailing behind him. The manager's expression was carefully neutral, but I could see the awkward sympathy in his eyes. "Miss Chen," Giuseppe said gently, "I just wanted to check on you. Are you still expecting your full party tonight?" The question hung in the air. Like a challenge, I could lie, make up some story about everyone being delayed, and continue sitting here alone like an idiot. Or I could face what was becoming increasingly obvious, that I had been stood up. Completely, thoroughly, systematically stood up by every single person I'd invited to celebrate my birthday. I started, then stopped. The words felt thick in my throat. "I'm not sure what's happening. They're not answering their phones." Giuseppe nodded with the practiced compassion of someone who'd probably seen this situation before. "Would you like to wait a bit longer, or would you prefer to order something for yourself? We're happy to accommodate either way." I looked around the beautiful room again. At the 11 empty chairs, at the untouched place settings, at the flowers I'd specifically requested because I thought they'd photograph well for the Instagram posts I'd imagined sharing later. "Give me 15 more minutes," I said. "If no one shows up by 7, I'll figure something out." "Of course. Take all the time you need." After he left, I sat in the silence of the empty room and tried to process what was happening. This wasn't random. You don't get 11 people to simultaneously decide not to show up to a birthday dinner without coordination. Someone had orchestrated this, but who and why? I thought about the past few weeks, trying to remember if I'd said or done something to offend someone. Had I been thoughtless, selfish? Had I hurt someone's feelings without realizing it? I mentally replayed recent conversations, looking for clues I might have missed. Nothing stood out. If anything, the past month had been particularly good. Work was going well, my friendships felt solid. My family relationships were stable. I couldn't think of a single conflict or misunderstanding that would explain this level of coordinated rejection. 6:45 p.m. 45 minutes late now. I picked up my phone and tried one more time, calling Mariana directly. This time, instead of going to voicemail, it rang twice and then was declined. Someone had actively rejected my call. That's when the hurt really hit me. Not just confusion or worry anymore, but genuine pain. The kind that starts in your chest and spreads outward until you feel it in your fingertips. Someone I trusted, someone I loved, had deliberately hung up on me while I sat alone on my birthday. I opened Instagram, thinking maybe there was some clue there. Maybe someone had posted something that would explain where everyone was or what was happening. What I found was worse than silence. There, at the top of my feed, was a post from Mariana. Posted 20 minutes ago, a group photo of at least 8 people I recognized, including Lucas and Priya, Valentina, Jessica, Marcus, and Zoe, all dressed up, all smiling. All clearly at some kind of celebration. The location tag said Rooftop Lounge downtown. The caption read, "Sometimes the best parties are the ones that happen spontaneously." #squad goals, #Saturday night, #living our best life. I stared at the photo until my eyes started to water. There they were, my brother, my cousin, my best friend, my coworkers. All of them, together, having what looked like an amazing time, while I sat alone in a restaurant waiting for them to show up to my birthday dinner. They hadn't forgotten. They hadn't had emergencies. They had made a conscious choice to go somewhere else instead, together, without me. But it was the comments that really destroyed me. Jessica, best night ever. Marcus, this group knows how to party. Valentina, love you all so much. Lucas, good vibes only. And then, at the bottom, a comment from someone I didn't recognize. A username I'd never seen before, @Truffler_2020 for the comment. said, "Karma is beautiful when it finally catches up. Some people really needed to learn this lesson." I screenshotted the photo and the comments before my hands started shaking too badly to hold my phone steady. Whatever was happening here, it wasn't random. It wasn't spontaneous. This was planned, coordinated, and apparently designed to teach me some kind of lesson. But what lesson? What had I done that was so terrible it warranted this level of cruelty? Antonio appeared at my elbow again, this time without being summoned. His young face was full of genuine concern. "Miss, are you okay? You look a little pale." I looked up at him, this stranger who was showing me more kindness than any of my supposed loved ones had tonight, and felt something break apart inside my chest. I said. My voice sounding strange and distant even to myself. "I think I've been set up." The words hung in the air, making it real. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a series of unfortunate coincidences. This was deliberate, calculated, cruel. Someone had wanted me to sit here alone on my 30th birthday. Someone had wanted me to feel this exact combination of humiliation, confusion, and heartbreak. And based on that Instagram comment, someone thought I deserved it. But as I sat there in that beautiful, empty room, surrounded by all the careful preparations I'd made for a celebration that was never going to happen, I realized that understanding I'd been set up was just the beginning. The real question wasn't what had happened to me tonight. The real question was why, and that answer, when I finally found it, would change everything I thought I knew about the people I trusted most in the world. 3 months before that devastating birthday dinner, my life had felt remarkably stable for the first time in years. I was finally hitting my stride professionally, personally, and socially. Everything seemed to be clicking into place in a way that made turning 30 feel like a celebration rather than a crisis. I'd been living in my one-bedroom apartment at Willowbrook Garden Apartments for 2 years, and it had become my sanctuary. The building was a converted Victorian mansion in the arts district of the city, with high ceilings, original hardwood floors, and enough character to make up for the occasionally temperamental plumbing. My unit on the 4th floor had huge windows that faced east, filling the space with morning light that made my small balcony garden of herbs and succulents look like something from a lifestyle blog. He apartment reflected who I'd become in my late 20s, organized but not obsessive, stylish but not pretentious, comfortable but always improving. My living room had a cream-colored sectional I'd saved for months to buy, a coffee table I'd refinished myself, and walls decorated with framed prints from local artists I'd discovered at weekend markets. Was adult without being boring, personal without being cluttered. Mrs. Chen from Furby had become an unexpected blessing in my life. Despite sharing a last name, we weren't related, just one of those coincidences that made her feel like family from the moment we met. She was a retired librarian who'd moved to the city after her husband passed away 3 years earlier. Her apartment smelled perpetually of jasmine tea and the elaborate Taiwanese dishes she cooked for herself and occasionally shared with neighbors, or friendship had developed naturally. I'd helped her carry groceries up the stairs one day when the elevator was broken, and she'd thanked me with a container of the most incredible beef noodle soup I'd ever tasted. From there, it became routine. I'd check on her when I heard her coughing through the thin walls. She'd knock on my door with leftovers when she'd accidentally made too much food. We'd sit on the building's small rooftop garden in the evenings, her sharing stories about the books she'd loved during her 40-year career as a librarian, me telling her about the challenges of modern dating and corporate life. She never pried, but she was an excellent listener. When Derek and I broke up the previous fall, a relationship that had dragged on 6 months too long because we were both too comfortable to acknowledge we weren't actually happy, Mrs. Chen had appeared at my door with tea and homemade almond cookies. She didn't ask for details, just sat with me while I cried and told me that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is stop pretending you're meant to be together. Work at Pinnacle Digital had become the professional home I'd been searching for since college. The company was a mid-sized marketing agency that specialized in helping small businesses develop their brand identity and digital presence. It was The kind of place where creativity and strategy balanced perfectly, where I could use both my analytical skills and my eye for design. I'd started as a junior marketing coordinator 3 years earlier, essentially making coffee and organizing files while learning the industry, but Elena Vasquez, the senior director of client strategy, had taken me under her wing almost immediately. She was the kind of mentor every young professional dreams of finding, brilliant without being intimidating, successful without being ruthless, demanding but fair. Elena had grown up in a working-class family in Sacramento, the first person in her family to go to college. And she understood the particular challenges of building a career when you don't have family connections or inherited advantages. She'd taught me everything about reading clients, managing expectations, and positioning myself for advancement without sacrificing my integrity. Under her guidance, I'd been promoted twice. First to marketing specialist, then to senior marketing manager, with my own small team and a portfolio of clients I genuinely enjoyed working with. My specialty had become helping family-owned businesses transition to digital marketing without losing the personal touch that made them special in the first place. My daily routine had settled into a rhythm I genuinely loved. I'd wake up at 6:30 a.m., make coffee in the French press Mrs. Chen had given me for Christmas, and spend 30 minutes on my balcony with my coffee and a book before getting ready for work. The commute to downtown was 25 minutes on the Metro, which gave me time to listen to podcasts about marketing trends or whatever audiobook I was currently consuming. The office environment was collaborative and energetic without being chaotic. My desk was in an open workspace next to Zoe Martinez, who'd started the same month I'd been promoted to senior manager. She was 26, fresh out of grad school, with an MBA in marketing, and brought a perspective on social media trends that complemented my more traditional marketing background perfectly. Zoe and I had become genuine work wives. She'd bring me iced coffee from the good place down the street when I was dealing with difficult clients. I'd cover her meetings when she had to leave early for family obligations. We developed a system of meaningful eye contact that could communicate entire conversations across the room during boring PR presentations. Jessica Park in accounting had become another unexpected work friendship. She was Korean American, about my age, with a dry sense of humor and an encyclopedic knowledge of both K-pop and true crime podcasts. Our friendship had started when we'd been the only two people willing to organize the company's holiday party the previous year, bonding over our shared frustration with colleagues who complained about every suggestion but offered no alternatives. Marcus Thompson from the creative team was the office comedian. The person who could make even the most stressful deadline feel manageable with perfectly timed jokes and an endless supply of funny GIFs. In Slack, he was gay, originally from Atlanta, and had moved to the city to be closer to his partner David, who worked in nonprofit development. Marcus had a gift for reading people's moods and knowing exactly when someone needed a laugh versus when they needed space. These work relationships had gradually expanded beyond the office. We'd started going to happy hours together, then weekend brunches, then actual hangouts that felt like genuine friendships rather than professional networking. It was the first time in my adult life that my work and social circles had overlapped in a healthy way. My relationship with my family had also reached a comfortable equilibrium. Lucas and I had always been close, but our relationship had deepened after our parents' divorce when I was 25 and he was 27. The divorce hadn't been acrimonious. Our parents had simply grown apart and decided to end their marriage with dignity rather than resentment, but it had brought Lucas and me closer together as we'd navigated being adults with divorced parents. Priya, Lucas's wife of 3 years, had fit seamlessly into our family dynamic. She was a pediatric nurse, originally from Mumbai, with a warmth and directness that balanced Lucas's sometimes overly analytical personality perfectly. She'd never tried to insert herself into our sibling relationship but had become a genuine friend in her own right. The three of us had developed traditions, monthly dinners at their house in Riverside Heights, weekend hiking trips when the weather was nice, joint birthday celebrations, My cousin Valentina and I had maintained our childhood closeness despite living in different cities. She was a graphic designer in Portland, working for a sustainable clothing company, and we'd talk on the phone at least twice a week. She was the person I called when I needed honest advice about dating, career decisions, or family drama. Our summer visits to our grandmother's house in Meadowbrook had created a bond that distance couldn't weaken, but it was my friendship with Mariana Santos that anchored my entire social world. We'd met during sophomore year at State University, randomly assigned as roommates in the honors dorm. She was studying psychology while I was majoring in communications, and we'd spent countless nights talking about our dreams, our fears, and our plans for after graduation. Mariana was the kind of friend who remembered details. She knew I preferred texting to phone calls but would call anyway when something was really important. She knew I got anxious in large groups but thrived in intimate settings. She knew I had a tendency to overthink social situations and would text me reassuring messages before parties or networking events. She was also the friend who'd been there for every major life event of my 20s. She'd helped me move 3 times, celebrated every promotion, and commiserated over every career setback. She'd been my +1 to weddings when I was single, and had gracefully stepped back when I was in relationships without ever making me feel guilty about having less time for friendship. Mariana worked as a therapist at a community mental health center, specializing in anxiety and depression in young adults. She was naturally empathetic, the kind of person people opened up to within minutes of meeting her. She had dark hair she wore in loose curls, expressive brown eyes, and a laugh that made everyone around her want to laugh too. Our friendship had evolved into something that felt more like family than friendship. We had keys to each other's apartments, shared Netflix passwords, and had developed our own language of inside jokes and references that could make us crack up in inappropriate settings. She was also the person who'd encouraged me to end things with Derek when I'd been wavering. You deserve someone who makes you excited to see them, she'd said over wine at my apartment one Thursday night. Not someone you're comfortable with. It was typical Mariana, direct but gentle, insightful without being judgmental. By the time my 30th birthday was approaching, I felt like I'd finally figured out the formula for adult happiness. Good work that challenged me without overwhelming me. A living situation that felt like home rather than just a place to sleep. Family relationships that were supportive without being suffocating. Friendships that felt genuine and reciprocal. I was single, but for the first time in my life, that felt like a choice rather than a failure. I was dating occasionally, nothing serious, but enjoying the process of meeting new people without the pressure of finding the one immediately. I felt financially stable, emotionally grounded, and socially connected. Turning 30 felt like the perfect time to celebrate not just my birthday but the life I'd built. Hence the dinner party. Hence the careful guest list of people who'd been part of my journey. Hence my excitement about marking this milestone with the people who mattered most. It never occurred to me that some of those people might have very different feelings about my happiness than I'd imagined. Looking back now, I can see signs I missed. Subtle changes in dynamics I'd attributed to normal life transitions rather than growing resentment. But at the time, sitting in my perfectly organized apartment, planning my elegant birthday celebration, I felt nothing but gratitude for the relationships that had carried me into my 30s. I had no idea that some of those relationships had already begun their quiet work of destroying me.